Hey, what's up? It's Jared with State of Tech. So, Apple has dropped iOS 13 and it is available as an update for most of us out there. And so, I wanted to talk about this really quick because every year I do a video on how to update your device safely because, simply just going and hitting that update button doesn't necessarily mean that things are going to go smoothly all the time. And so, I want to make sure that you understand the best way to back up all of your stuff and make sure that everything is safe so that when you update, if everything goes smoothly, you don't have anything to worry about. But if something doesn't go smoothly with the update, like your battery dies in the middle of it, or I don't know, something weird happens and you have to start over again, that you know that you have a backup of all of your data and you don't lose anything. And then also moving to a new device, if you decided to buy a new phone, which I actually have a video that's going to be put out after this one on like 5 reasons why I think you should skip the iPhone 11 this year. But with that said, I think that it's also important to understand the safest way to move your content from one device over to the next. So Apple did drop their iOS 13 update. It actually came out yesterday, and I spent some time updating my devices, and a couple of my devices haven't received it yet, so it made me actually go and start to research which devices are getting the iOS 13 update. And in past videos where I've done the how to update to the next version, a lot of people have said, well, it's not available for me. I don't get that. I haven't gotten that update for whatever reason. Like, why can't I update? Now, the reason that a lot of those people couldn't update after talking to them down in the comment section below the video is because their device was just too old. It wasn't receiving the updates anymore. Apple's been really good about putting out updates and making them available for a lot of their devices for many years back. I mean, the iPhone SE still gets updates, and that phone has been out for ages. And of course, earlier versions of the iPad mini have been out for a long time, and they get updates. So Apple does a pretty good job of making sure that the software that they continue to come out with is going to work on older devices. And it totally makes sense for them to do this because a lot of the services like Apple Arcade and Apple TV Plus and a lot of these new services, Apple Music, definitely they want to make sure they can sell that to the most amount of people as possible. And not everybody goes out and buys new phones every year. So I've got my small stack of Apple devices right here that I currently have. I have my iPhone XS Max, which I will be replacing with an iPhone 11 Pro Max. I have an iPod Touch. This is the 7th generation iPod Touch that came out earlier this year. There's an iPad mini and my iPad Pro that I bought last year. So all of these devices got the iOS 13 update. I'm still waiting for the update to push through for the iPod Touch. That hasn't shown up yet, but probably within the next day or two it will, and then I'll have that one updated as well. And I've got a complete list. I've been showing you the list on the screen as I talked about these devices, a complete list of the different devices that are going to get iOS 13. So if you have a device that is older than what is listed on the screen, you're probably going to be stuck at an earlier version of iOS, or maybe not even being able to go to iPad OS on your iPad if you have an older device. And that really comes down to the fact that some of those devices just don't have the performance in the hardware, like the device is just not powerful enough to support the newer software. And Apple really has done a good job at supporting devices very long into the past, but they can't support all of them just because the software is too advanced for the hardware that those devices came with. Apple actually does a better job at this than pretty much all the other manufacturers that make Android devices. If you buy a Galaxy smartphone, you're probably only going to get maybe 2, maybe 3 years of updates on that device before you're stuck at that version. It's very rare that I see a device actually get to a 3rd year of updates. And Samsung's actually one of the better ones at it compared to some of the other manufacturers that make smartphones. So with that said, I hope that this helps you understand maybe why you're not seeing an iOS 13 update for your phone or your iPad or one of your other devices. Of course, an Apple Watch also gets updates, and I'll list those for the Apple Watch. So to see which versions of the Apple Watch are going to get Apple Watch OS 6, I think is what they're on now. And so if you're not getting those updates anymore, you might look at upgrading your device if there's something important enough for you to do the upgrade. A lot of games are going to require the latest version of the software, and so if you're stuck at an earlier version like iOS 10 or 11 or something like that, then you may have issues with some of the new features, and you're definitely not going to get Apple Arcade and some of those other options. I have not seen that showing up on older devices that have previous versions of iOS. So I hope that this video answers some of those questions. If you have any questions for me, ask them down in the comment section below and I'll do my best to answer them. I also started a Discord server so that we can chat about our different devices and software and topics and all that good stuff. So if you're on Discord or you're interested in chatting as well, I've got the link down there in the description below for you. I also have a link to some of the later devices, so if you're thinking about upgrading to a newer device, the links in the description will take you to Amazon where you can see the pricing for some of the devices that are still available that are going to get iOS 13. So definitely check those out. But that's going to do it for this video. Thanks so much for checking it out. I hope that it helped. If it did, give it a thumbs up, and we'll see you back in the next one. Take care.